I'm Claire Maxted from Wild Ginger Running, and I am thrilled to say that I'm here with Debbie Martin-Consani this evening. Amazing ultra runner, UTMB completer, 24-hour ultra running for GB, spine race completer, Bob Graham completer. Is there anything that Debbie hasn't done? Hi, how are you today, Debbie?
Hi, Claire. I'm well. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me on.
Fantastic to have you here as well. So we have got loads and loads of questions here for you tonight from some of my patrons who are the loyal supporters of this channel, so they get priority answering to their questions. But I just thought we'd start off with a bit of an easy one from Arlene Matelock, who asks, how has COVID-19 affected your training and racing plans this year? And she's kind of wondering what a typical week of training looks like to you now.
I suppose it's had an impact on my whole life, like everyone else. I've been working from home, like everyone, and I work for a newspaper, so it's pretty full on. So my working days have been really long, sometimes like 12 hours plus. Before we went into lockdown, I would do a lot of my weekly miles running to and from work or doing intervals at lunchtime. So I'm now having to factor in a run, which is fine because I'm committed enough to make that time. I'm just running when I can rather than at a set time. So if I see a window at 3 o'clock, I'll just go out for an hour. So the structure of my training hasn't really changed that much. During the week, I'm still going out for maybe 60 minutes, still doing some speed sessions, which might be a little bit lackluster just now because I feel like I'm not training for anything. And so I'm still trying to run every day. I'm doing a lot of Zoom classes now, which I never thought I would ever do in a million years. So I've been doing some classes at the gym before we went into lockdown. So the instructors have moved them online, so we're doing them in Zoom, it's fun. I'm really enjoying it. It hasn't really had a massive adverse effect on my training, so maybe I'm not as motivated as I was, because the other part of the question was the races, and like everyone else, everything I trained for has been cancelled. But I do feel quite thankful that I did one of my A races in January, and it took me a while to recover from that. So yeah, I'm actually finding the joy in running because it's the one thing that you can do that's normal. So I'm really enjoying just running, and I'm actually really enjoying just running from the house, the simplicity of opening the door and not having to drive hundreds of miles to go on a really nice trail. So yeah, I'm just keeping it kind of basic, but it's still happening, so can't complain.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because it just takes all the decision making out of running, doesn't it? You have to go from your house, so it's, do you go north, south, east or west? It's not, do I drive 5 minutes over there or 10 minutes over there, or should I go to the Peak District, or in your case some mountains in Scotland?
My usual routes, like I live right quite next to a canal and there's a couple of parks, but they're just so busy. So my favourite route just now is an industrial estate along the Clyde River because nobody's there.
Fantastic. It sounds really pretty just alongside a river. So I'm just wondering, in normal times, because you do so many of these long distance events, I'm wondering what your weekly mileage is. Nigel Barnett's got the question here of what weekly mileage does Debbie consistently do to achieve her ultramarathon goals? And then he wants to know how you divide it up, and somebody else does as well. So, but I'll let you answer the first question first about your normal kind of weekly mileage and how that happens.
Depends on what I'm training for. I think in days gone by, like when I first started 24-hour running, I think I did my first 24-hour race 2011 or something like that. I think it was back in the day where there wasn't that much information on ultra running, so I was doing like big back-to-back weekends, like ridiculous, like 30 miles on a Saturday and 30 miles on a Sunday, and it just made me really slow, to be honest. So I used to do that, and now I don't, and I don't know whether because I've got all those junk miles in my legs from years gone by, but now there's more structure in my training. I have a coach, Paul Giblin, who keeps me in line. So I don't know. I don't really have a set amount of miles. It's probably between 60 and probably up to about 100, maybe a couple of times if I'm training for something big. But I do believe more in quality rather than just quantity. So, and I'm doing a lot more kind of strength stuff as well now, rather than just focusing on running. So, which is something I've only started in the last year or so. So.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, how many ultra runners are going from just running all the time to actually doing specific workouts, speed work, and also getting the strength work in as well. Like Jim Mann said, he was into doing plyometrics, and he says it's really increased his recovery. It's really decreased his recovery time.
Yeah, I'm just trying to do a little bit less running, but more, a bit more cross training. So, yeah, I definitely don't run as much as I used to. That's for sure.
Yeah, is that sort of with more sort of intelligence and reading around the sport, like more research has come out, or is it also got something to do with where you are in your life? Like as you get older, do you have to run less or anything like that?
Yeah, I think it has helped that I have Paul who tells me what to do. If I was left to my own devices, I might do a little bit more and throw in a couple of recovery runs here and there, which are not necessary. Yeah, I think there's just more structure, and I just don't feel the need to have to do lots and lots of mileage anymore. So maybe it just works for me better now. Yeah, and I don't feel like I recover as quickly as I used to. So yeah, I think just more structure, and I just don't think it's necessary to do a lot of miles. So.
Yeah, well, that's music to my ears. And we'll come on to recovery in a bit, because we have got a question about recovery a bit later on as well. But just to develop that training side of things a little bit, Amanda wants to know about the training and says, does Debbie do speed work or hill work, or are they done by distance or time? So she just wants to know a bit about the breakdown of your weekly training into those different sessions that you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, most of my weekly miles are done at a relatively easy to steady pace. I do 2 speed sessions a week, most weeks. So I would do like an interval or speeds or tempos on a Tuesday, and then maybe do like a hill set on a Thursday. And then sometimes if I do a long run, like if I'm training for something where you need a little bit more speed, I mean, that could be anything up to like a flat 100 miler. I would do my longer runs and put in some tempo sets in the middle of that. But most of mine is just easy running. Yeah, but I do maybe 2 speed sessions a week. I do think it's really important. Not even from a physical speed side, but I like to just mix it up. Otherwise, it just gets a little bit boring. Yeah, so I do actually enjoy it. I don't enjoy it before I go out. So when I finish, I'm like, that was really good. I love that.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Like sometimes I've gone out and felt really sluggish, and then like just got really bored of just plodding along, and then I think, oh well, I haven't done any hill reps recently, I'll just go 3 times quite fast up this hill, and before you know it, you've woken up, and you feel like you've done something with your session. You feel really proud of yourself.
Yeah, I do think everyone has to have a purpose. So,
yeah. A lot of people say that, and a lot of people, they swear by the 80-20 rule, don't they? Whereas 80% of your training should be slower, steady runs, easy pace, and then 20% should be really hard stuff.
Yeah, I think by default it works out that way. It's not something I fanatically check, but yeah, I know where I'm at. So,
yeah. And that leads me on to a question about your training, how it differs from race to race. Because Sebastian Schernenbeck wants to know, first he says, awesome guest, and he wants to know how training differs between a timed event like a 24-hour race and a distance-based event like a 100-miler. So could you just talk a little bit around that?
Yeah, I tend to go from one extreme to the other, which kind of frustrates Paul a little bit, because I'll come out like, before I did Tour de Géants, I'd just done a 24-hour race like 10 weeks before, and by the time I recovered from that, we had a really short window. And then I finished UTMB and decided I wanted to go back to marathon training. So I just like all races. So I kind of go from one extreme to the other. And I train quite specifically for a race. I mean, I don't race a lot. I only do a few races a year because I like to really focus and give all my energy and attention into that one event. I don't have the luxury of being able to go away and for long weekends and weeks away to do races. So when I do a race, I really focus on it. So I like to train specifically for that event. And sometimes, if I'm lucky, events are on the bounce, and I did the Bob Graham rounds as training for UTMB. So it really depends on what I'm doing. So there's a lot of times where I have to take in a lot of vert and a lot of ascent. For training for a 24-hour race, there was a lot of flat running on a canal or flat trails. For the timed 100, I almost treated that as an extension to marathon training. So there was a lot of speed work in there. The long runs at the weekend would have had some kind of pickup or tempo session in the middle, which I probably wouldn't have done for 24-hour racing. So yeah, I think every single race I've had a completely different training plan, which is good because it means it kind of keeps you on your toes, keeps everything a little bit fresh. I don't want to be that person who does the same type of race. So yeah, the training has all been completely different, and it depends. Again, you know, I've done like Gran Canaria twice, which is amazing, but it's in February, and trying to train for the winter in Scotland for a race in the Canary Islands is quite tough. So I would spend like most of my winter going up and down Conic Hill on the West Highland Way multiple times just to get in some ascent, because you can't go up too high in Scotland because of the conditions. So yeah, I just split it in different ways, so it all works eventually.
And to train for such a hot event, did you also wear a lot of clothes whilst you did those multiple reps of the Ben?
No, but like when I trained for Spartathlon, which I'm like yourself, I'm very fair freckled skin and don't belong out in the heat. When I trained for Spartathlon, I went to like a heat chamber and did a couple of sessions there, which was interesting, but I got much more benefit from just sitting in a sauna. From about 3 or 4 weeks out, I would try and get along to the sauna at least 4 or 5 times a week. So it's not perfect, but you've got to work with what you have. So yeah, I think the sauna sessions were definitely beneficial.
And did you do anything in the sauna, like cycle or run, or you just literally sat there?
Yeah, had some really bizarre conversations in saunas in Glasgow, I can tell you.
Yeah. I was listening to your end of your spine race, and it was really funny. Some of the things you said there as well, which we'll come on to in a minute. You're well known for just saying things how they are, and I find that really refreshing. And just while we're on the topic of different training approaches to the different races and mixing it up a bit, Sebastian also wants to know how the preparation for a long event like UTMB and a really long multi-day event like Tour des Géants differs, because you did Tour des Géants in 2017, didn't you, and then UTMB in 2018, which was where you used the Bob Graham round as training, which is amazing, because most people would just be like, wow, Bob Graham.
Yeah, sorry, was the question about training, did you say?
Yeah, how does it differ training for UTMB to Tour des Géants multi-day?
Well, the Tour des Géants was one of those, it was an opportunity that came up and you've just got to take it. So I had the chance to do it. I really wanted to do it. It was far from ideal timing because I was training for the World 24-Hour Champs, and all my focus was on that race, and I think Tour de Géants was like 11 weeks later, so it wasn't ideal. I was already knackered before I even started the race, to be honest, so I didn't actually do much specific training. I went out and did quite a few long days out in Glencoe, just going up and down, getting in as much ascent as I possibly could over a couple of days. But yeah, I think there's only so much you can do for Tour de Géants. I mean, it's a long way, and you're going to have so many different factors that are thrown at you, like the sleep deprivation, the altitude, the heat, the cold. There's so many extremes, and I don't think you can actually train for something like that until you put yourself in that position and realise and learn how you respond to different aspects of it. I would love to go and do that race again, because I learned so much about the event and about myself and how I deal in those situations. But it's really hard to train for something like that until you put yourself 100 hours deep in the Italian Alps and then work out how you respond to it. So yeah, I mean, UTMB was just a lot of mountain hiking, I think. I was lucky enough to go out and do a recce of the route over 3 days, which was really helpful. So yeah, the training's not too dissimilar, because there is only so much you can do before you push yourself onto the fatigue side of training for Tour de Géant. So yeah.
So is it more about mindset for Tour de Géant then, and just keeping going despite the sleep deprivation and despite the pain and the tiredness?
I mean, yeah, you have to work yourself out of some pretty dark places. But yeah, I think it's the overriding goal to finish is what will get you to the end for sure.
Yeah, that's good to know, and I hope that answers Sebastian's questions. We have got, shall I just read to you? We've got quite a few people on the live chat here, so I'll just give you a little sense of who's watching. There's about 30 people watching right now, so I'll just read out a few people's names. We've got Alex de Hoto is watching, John, Sebastian, Philip Haddock, Amanda Armstrong, whose question you answered earlier. She says thanks very much for answering the question, Debbie. Sue Hewitson says, hi Deb, so good to see you on here.
Sue. I used to work with Sue.
Oh, lovely. Oh, that's brilliant. We've got a few overseas viewers as well. We've got Harley Guy, howdy from Texas, y'all. Oh, I said that in such a British accent. Howdy from Texas, y'all. Guy Greytrex says, so excited for this. Jasper Kiernan, I've got a question from him coming up as well. We've got Brad Rush from Vancouver Island in Canada. We've got Chrissy TV. Nigel Barnett has just made it. And he says thanks also for answering the question earlier. And Alex de Hoto says, sauna, good info. So we have got a couple of questions coming up in the live. Sebastian says, thank you so much for taking the time to give such a detailed answer. So thanks so much there. Guy Greytrex wants to know what your Bob Graham round time was.
It was 23 hours and 18 minutes, I think. Yeah, I had a pretty rough day out there. I think I chose the only rubbish weekend of weather in about 3 months. So it was in two years ago. And I went out on leg 2 and I just felt so sick. I was just really nauseous. I had a hamstring niggle that was flaring up, and I was adamant that I was going to finish after leg 2 because I didn't want to go on. And when I got down to the handover point, one of my friends, James, had come up from down south, and another friend, Giles, had made the effort to come down and do leg 3 with me, and I felt really awful because they'd made such a long journey, and they kind of convinced me to go out. And then leg 3 was a bit rough, but leg 4 and 5 were my strongest legs, and I'm just so thankful that I continued, because I'm not sure when I would have had the opportunity to do it again. And when you get to that point where you physically can't go on, and I just kept saying to myself, you don't know until you try, and I just kept saying that, and I'm just so thankful that I continued. So it was a tough one. It was definitely a tough day, but yeah, I only have fond memories now. I only remember the good stuff.
Yeah, I only remember the good bits. Well, you did it in under 24 hours. Are you tempted to go back again and improve upon your time, or is it just a case of completing?
No. When I was training for it, I think, it's a tough course. And I think that, the dropout rate of the attempts is because people really underestimate it. I think that people just think it's a nice trail out in the Lake Districts, and it is not. It's really hard, and I'm no hill runner by any stretch of the imagination. So when I went out and I made the effort to recce it all, and I was quite fanatical about it. And I had 2 friends that I was training with, and I said all along that if I did it in 23:59, I would be absolutely delighted just to do it. And then, of course, when I got 23:18, I was like, I don't know, I'm not that happy about it anymore.
Oh.
But yeah, I've done it, and I don't see me ever going out to do it again. It was just it wasn't necessarily a box ticking exercise, because I don't want to do that. It was just something that I wanted to do just for myself. So yeah, I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to do it, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and there's just so many more things to do, isn't there? You could go and do something else next. I don't know, Paddy Buckley, Ramsey round, that kind of thing.
I don't know. I look at the times for the Ramsey round, and I think I might be able to get Ben Nevis ticked off in that time.
I'm sure you could. I'm sure you could.
That's for sure.
And we've got another question. Arlene M, you answered her question earlier. Thanks very much. And she says, what is the most distance you train for in one day, or do you do any more back-to-back training?
In present times, the most I would run was maybe a 35 miles. Maybe, yeah. In days gone by, I'd probably push it to maybe 50, maybe once or twice before a big race, specifically when I was training for 24-hour races. Now I would probably be about 35 miles, but that might take 6 or 7 hours. So if I'm out somewhere and, taking pictures.
I've heard you like to take pictures.
You're back to at least another hour, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, about 35 miles is the most I would do in training just now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's actually really interesting. I really like that, because a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to run an ultra, I need to run. I need to run 50 miles to train for a 100 miler, and I just don't think you do you?
I would only do it a few times as well. I wouldn't consistently do 35 every weekend. I would only do it a few times in a build up, but that would be my build up to my longest run. But I don't know whether, because I've been doing ultra running now for, God, what year are we?
2020.
Yeah, I know, what year? 12 years? So yeah, I've got a lot of miles in my legs, and I've made all the mistakes. So I don't know whether I'm just being wise, or I feel like I don't need to anymore. So
yeah, it's hard to know, isn't it? If you've already got that base, it'd be good to also talk to somebody who hasn't got such a massive endurance base and see what they do. That would be interesting. But it's interesting that you've said about running for so long, because I just wanted to sort of go through all the big races that you've done, and then see maybe if we can get a bit of a key takeaway from each race, because this talk is all about the key to ultra success. And I just think with your mass of experience about this, there's got to be one thing from each race that we can sort of that you can sort of distill for us, and we can steal your secret.
Okay.
So first I wanted to talk to you about pacing, because Jasper Kiernan was very impressed about your record that you held for the Grand Union Canal Race. You made it in 2012 until Mimi Anderson broke it a couple of years ago.
No, Kat Simpson broke it.
Oh, just even more recently.
Mimi Anderson held the record. I took it from Mimi, and then Kat Simpson took it from me.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yes. So having held the record for that race, Jasper wants to have a crack at this one day, he says. And he says with flat races, he finds it difficult to maintain a continuous slow pace, like without hills to break it up naturally into a kind of a walk-run cycle. So I thought we could use the Great Grand Union Canal Race as a time for us to talk about how to pace long races like that, like long flat races.
Yeah, I mean, I don't go by what the pace on my watch says. I generally go by feel. I don't worry about what other people are doing round about me. So in the Grand Union Canal Race, I can't even remember what position I was at any point. But yeah, I go by feel, and yeah, I'm quite metronomic, and I can just tick off miles at a really quite happy pace. So yeah, I think it's just, you got to start off with a pace that you know that you can maintain for 145 miles. I don't try and factor in slowing down towards the end. Inevitably, I did. But yeah, it's just that you just got to go with a pace that suits you, not suits the person who you're racing beside early on. So you just have to put your ego to the side and just go out as if it's a race by yourself. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, people always say that pacing is my forte, and I think it's because I can't actually run that fast anyway. But yeah, I just go out and I try not to get worked up. I've done one race where I chased someone, and it ended horribly for both of us, actually. And I swore I would never do that again. And I'm quite happy. Just like, I would get worked up if I got into a race and I was ahead of where I wanted to be early on. So yeah, I just pacing is not about what my watch says, it's how I feel at that time. And sometimes your pace can go completely awry because, you know, you're going to have wobbles somewhere in the middle. Like when I did South Downs Way, I got really dehydrated, and I spent about 15 miles of that race just really having to work through it, and then came quite strong in the end. So yeah, pacing is about how you feel, not what your watch says, that's for sure.
That's so interesting. And so when you say you run to how you feel, what do you want to be feeling like when you're running? Is it that chatting pace? Can you describe it?
It's content. You've got to feel quite content. It's not like you have to talk to people or, you know, how you're breathing. As long as I'm happy with the pace that I'm doing, and then I know that effort is fine. That's fine.
Yes, that's really good advice, isn't it? And I suppose that comes with a bit of experience as well. Yeah. So you kind of get to know the pace, that you know that you're not going to blow up in 50 miles.
Yeah, absolutely. But you probably will blow up at some point. You've got to work through it. Experience has taught me that I can work my way out of anything.
That's fantastic, and people listening to this will be like, oh brilliant, I've got all this advice, that's amazing, but there really are no shortcuts, is there? You've got to go out there, you've got to get that experience yourself.
Yeah, and I think everyone has rough patches in races. Everyone goes through like really, really dark moments, and there's not a race where I haven't wanted to throw in the towel, like at least a few times. I don't remember a race where I haven't hit some really awful patches. Yeah, but they all come good. Yeah, you just got to work your way out of it. So I think it's easy to think that when you're having a really bad patch that everyone else ahead of you is just skipping along nicely, having the best day out, and it's not. It's ultra running. It's not cocktails on the beach. Everyone is working really hard. So
yeah, that's so useful to know that even the really top runners have bad patches, because I think we kind of tend to look at people from afar and go, oh my god, she won this race, she did this record, and we think, oh, they find it easy, but you don't, do you? It's never easy.
No, I mean, even if you go along and watch an ultra, you can see some of the front runners, they're just struggling, sometimes even more than the mid-pack backpackers, because they're really putting themselves on the line. So yeah, I think, the front runners, I think, actually work a whole lot harder than people think they do. Well, ones that I've seen anyway, for sure. So.
Yeah, they must do. And so I just want to move on now to a little bit of chat about the Lakeland 50 and the Lakeland 100. Philip Haddock on the live chat wants to know how you found those races, but I just thought it was so interesting how in 2013 you actually took 2.5 hours off the record, but there was somebody else who also took a big chunk off the record as well, so you actually ended up coming second, and then you came back the next year and you won it in 2014. So yeah, just tell us a little bit about what kind of went on in your mind during those 2 years.
The one in 2013, I took 2.5 hours off the record and came second to Lizzie Wraith, who broke the record that year. So you can't complain coming second to Lizzie. But I had the race that I wanted to run. That was a time that I wanted to run, and my splits were pretty much bang on the whole time. So yeah, I can't complain. I was really, really pleased with that race, and yeah, I loved it, and I went back the next year because I really enjoyed the experience. And then that was 2014, and it was an absolute scorcher. It was boiling, and I wanted to quit at the first checkpoint because I was so hot, and I didn't quit because I didn't want to be the first person to go out. So yeah, I mean, when it got during the night, it got a little bit cooler, and the next day wasn't quite as bad, but it was quite some torturous heat out there. So yeah, and then I did the 50 the year after, and I think you know yourself, when there's the 100 and the 50 going on at the same time, people in the 50 think they're doing the fun run, but they're both just so hard. It's just you attack them completely different. With the 100s, you can be a bit more relaxed, but you hit some dark places, and you've got other things to deal with, like foot problems and chafing and nausea and stuff. But with a 50, it's pretty much eyeballs out for the whole way. Like, there was one point where I was thinking, I don't even have time to stop and pee here because I'm going to fall off target. So yeah, they're both really tough, but different for different reasons. But yeah, the 50 is definitely not the fun run.
Yeah, just like the Spine Challenger at 108 miles is not the fun run.
No, I think the dropout rate for that is quite high. I think it was this year anyway. I think a lot of people dropped out it because people go in with the impression that it's like the Spine Light, and it's not. It's a really hard 100 miles. It's yeah, the terrain and the conditions that they had for the Challenger. Yeah, I think people go in with the impression that it's not quite the Spine, but it is.
Yeah, yeah, it's really hard. Anything 100 miles is just so hard, and 50, if you're trying to go eyes out, then it's definitely so hard, isn't it? And I just wondered, is there sort of, what do you wish you'd known earlier about training for 100-mile races? Is there anything that you think, oh, I wish I had just done that earlier?
I wish I'd done strength training years ago. Yeah, I really wish I had. Maybe I didn't see the benefit or didn't factor in the time because I was doing too many miles, but I definitely would have benefited more from doing less miles, more strength, or just anything that wasn't running, to be honest. Yeah, I wish I'd done that years ago, but I've started now, so...
Oh, that's so interesting. So for 100 milers, you recommend strength training. And so, like, how often per week and what kind of moves would you do?
Well, I'm doing it, before lockdown I was going to maybe a few circuits classes a week, but now I've been doing a couple of circuit classes, and I used to do a lot of yoga before and then just kind of fell out of the way because it would take like 2 hours to go there and do the class and come back, and I just couldn't factor in that time, but I really enjoyed it. So now I've been kind of getting back into that on my Zoom classes. But yeah, I mostly circuits. I try to go to like 30-minute classes, because then I go and I do it, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm just enjoying doing things that's not just solely running. So yeah, I wish I'd started it years ago.
Yeah, so that's a message to us all then. More strength training, everybody. And Philip Haddock says, thanks very much for answering that question, because he had to DNF 43 miles into the 50 on the Lakeland 50. Oh, bless him. He might go back and do it again, maybe. Just having a look for some other questions in the live chat here. Let's go for, I just want to move on through your races a little bit first. There's a couple of questions on the live chat that I want to come back to, about people getting stressed that they can't run far enough. But first of all, I just want to talk a little bit about the Tour des Géants in 2017. You said it came of just an opportunity, and you just went to run it, and you learned a lot. And I was just wondering, is there anything about what you carried with you that you learned, like gear-wise, and the food that you took with you? Were there any takeaways from that side of things? Because it's such a long race, must really matter. Yeah,
the last day, the last night that I was out, I left the base camp, which is one of their checkpoints, and it was like just about 0 degrees, and I had to go up to like 3,000 odd meters. And I didn't take enough clothes with me because I knew I would have to carry them the next day. I should have taken a down jacket, but I was taking layers of waterproofs, and that just didn't keep me warm, so I was absolutely freezing. So in terms of kit, like now I always have like a really light down jacket with me, and I carried it all the way through the spine as well, because that's the only thing that's going to actually keep you warm when you're cold. You just you're going to be cold anyway because you've already lost 4 nights of sleep, and trying to have the energy to generate heat while you're really, really exhausted. So you do need those extra layers, and way more than what you would need on a normal day where you've just woke up after 8 hours and gone out in the hills. So layering into like proper winter clothes, not just trail running out on the fells on a Saturday afternoon clothes. So yeah, that was one of the mistakes that I definitely made. So
yeah, so definitely packing a nice light insulating layer. Yeah. And you're sponsored by Montane, aren't you? Have you got a particular Montane one that you can recommend to us all?
The Prism one, I think I've got, and there's a new one, I can't remember the name, so I'm going to get killed for this.
Oh no, it's fine. I think I was going to say the Prism.
Yeah, I really like. I mean, I think it's a old stock one now, but I wear that quite often, and it packs really light. So that's the one that I use most times.
Yeah. And was there anything about nutrition that you also learned on that? Because I've read various interviews with you where you say that food's always been a little bit of a like a troublesome point for you in races.
Yeah, I think in Tour de Géant I probably wasn't eating enough for a day sitting in the office, let alone a day out in the hills. But you think because you're eating that you're eating enough. The food becomes a bit samey, and I didn't really feel that hungry at many points. And tomato pasta and watery soup and bread, I definitely wasn't eating enough. I mean, as you said, I do really struggle with eating in races. I really suffer from nausea. Someone will jump on and tell me to try ginger now, and I have many times tried it, nothing works. I think it's because I let myself get dehydrated, and then I become nauseous, and then I can't eat, and it's just this circle. But yeah, I do really struggle to eat, so I'm never going to give anyone nutritional tips.
Have you found that, say, adding some carbs to your drink works better for you then, like Tailwind and stuff?
Yeah, I use Tailwind, and I use Active Root as well, which has ginger in it, which does kind of help with the nausea. But yeah, it's not perfect. It's better if I can get some carbs and electrolytes that way. But yeah, it's definitely my biggest downfall. Like I did the Thames Path 100 last year, and yeah, I barely ate anything. I had a couple of gels and threw them up, and had some Morton mix as well because that's really calorific. So I'm starting to use that more. But yeah, my calorie input versus output was there was a big discrepancy there. I just really struggle to. Yeah, and anyone who's crewing for me really gets so frustrated. Like I did a 100-mile track race last year, and my best friend Sharon came down and crewed for me, and she just spent the whole time just totally exasperated because all I would eat was like one party ring and half a gel, which I'd throw up from the other side of the track. But miraculously, I seem to run like really long distances on very little calories, but it doesn't make it easier. I make it tougher on myself by not taking in the calories, but that does sound really tough. I'm just wondering, do you have to really stock up beforehand? Like, do you have a night of like 5 Mars bars and then go into the race? I have problems before I even start, so yeah, I do like up the calories before. It's not really a conscious effort. You just feel like you can pig out because you're going to burn it all, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I have made mistakes the night before and ate like a giant bag of M&Ms and then really suffered during the race because of it. I don't stock up too much, but yeah, it's always been a work in progress for me.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing to get right, isn't it, nutrition? And I think you've just kind of explained it perfectly in that it is completely different for everybody, and you do have to just keep trying for your own self, don't you?
Yeah, I think I try. Liquid calories are good for me.
Yeah. So if anybody is feeling nauseous, then liquid calories might be the way to go as well. And like you said, hydrate a bit more as well, and look after yourself in that way. And then I just wanted to, we have talked a little bit about the UTMB and the BG year in 2018, but I just wanted to sort of tie those races in with the concept of mental strength, because Arlene asked the question, is success in these long ultras more about building physical endurance or mental fortitude? And the Bob Graham really kind of says that, doesn't it, that you had to just keep going. It was your mind that kept you going, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm really stubborn, annoyingly stubborn. And, going back to when I said, like, I don't do that many races because I like to really focus on key things. It takes a lot for me to DNF. I haven't got that many DNFs on my record because it takes a lot for me to do that. I would rather grind something out than throw in the towel. I don't want to be a person who quits just because it's getting tough, because that's what you signed up for. You signed up for something that's really tough. So yeah, I think my mental strength is probably better than my physical strength, because things like the spine race, and anyone who finishes that has to go into some really, really tough times, some really dark places, and you've got to pull yourself out time and time again just to be able to continue. So yeah, I think it helps being really stubborn. And I'm pretty focused on, it might be that, very rarely you go into a race and you come out with a time that you wanted. It's quite a rare thing to do, but I always wanted my key races, and the ones that I focus on are the ones that I really want to finish. Like, I like to do races where success is not inevitable. Like, there is the high chance of me dropping out or anyone dropping out. Races that have got really low success rates have massive appeal to me. And they're the ones that I'm quite driven and motivated to do. So, yeah, it takes a lot for me to throw in the towel. I wouldn't be silly if I going into the spine race, I said, if I put myself in any danger, I was going to die, then I would have definitely dropped out. At the end of the day, I'm somebody's mother, and that's more important than a race. So I wouldn't have put myself in any danger. But yeah, I like putting myself on a line, knowing that, so many things could and probably will go wrong. So.
Yeah, so I hope that answers Arlene's question for sure.
I can't even remember what it was now.
No, she said, is it physical endurance or mental fortitude? And we've gone for the mental in that one, with the emphasis on the mental, I think. And so and then just moving on to 2019, this is funny because I met you just shortly after this, and we did some interviews together at the Ring of Steel, but you'd just done the Centurion 100 track race, hadn't you, in 24 hours, the 24-hour race there, and then you went and did the Ring of Steel Sky Race just 2 weeks after it. So again, that just shows, doesn't it, mental determination is what will get you through.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I had the track race was a 100-mile track race, not a 24-hour race, and I had like a 17-hour cutoff. So yeah, that was a tough race. Another one where I spoke about Sharon chasing me around trying to get me to eat, and I kind of struggled, but I was really thankful that I finished it in the end. And then it's kind of weird if you've got a race 2 weeks later. I always think, you've got something else to focus on. I always think you recover quicker. I really enjoyed the Ring of Steel. I just signed up because I wanted to do it. I didn't have any aspirations, and I was quite pleased at how it went on the J, to be honest, considering it was just really nice to be there that weekend. It's quite a phenomenal experience. I mean, I'm from Glasgow, and Kinlochleven's not too far. And, nothing happens in Kinlochleven until the Salomon ban rolls in. And now it's like a little trail running, sky running carnival. So it was quite nice to be there. And I just wanted to be there, to be honest. The year before, I'd gone up and done some spectating and cheering. And I thought, I just want to do one of these races. So it was really good fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's such a good atmosphere there, isn't it? And there's so many different races you could choose from. Like, will you do the Glencoe Skyline next year at all?
No, I didn't get in it. I did apply for it, so I will try again for next year if it goes ahead this year.
Yeah, fingers crossed, massive fingers crossed. And I hope you don't mind. We've just got a question on the live chat here. There's some stress on the live chat. So Chrissy TV says she's been getting stressed about how far she can't run so far. So she's just building up her running, and she's stressed about why she can't run as far as she wants to. And she says she doesn't understand how anyone would get through an ultra because she's never gone that far before. She says running hurts, like it just hurts too much. It hurts bad. So do you have any advice for people getting stressed about not being able to run far enough?
Well, it really depends on what she's training for. Like most distances, you don't need to run an ultra to be able to run an ultra. If you're running 100 miles, you only need to be able to do 35 miles in training to get you through. It's not like a marathon where you've got 26 miles, but people would do 20, 21, 22 miles as their longest run if they're training for a marathon, whereas an ultra, the more you do, the worse the race is going to be. So it's better to turn up slightly undertrained than massively overtrained. So I don't know what distance is, but if it's hurting, you just slow down a bit, just enjoy it. And it's okay to walk as well. Time on feet is more important than grinding out 25 consistently running miles. So yeah, it's okay to have walk breaks, especially if you're hurting. I mean, hurting doesn't sound good. Just slow it down, enjoy it, take in food and some liquids, and just walk if you have to. Walking's fine. Yeah. I love walking.
Yeah, we do a lot of walking as ultra runners.
I love walking. It's fine.
Yeah, get some poles. But I think a lot of people, I think they see 100 miles and they go, oh my God, I'm going to run 100 miles and that is all that I want to do. But I just think you don't have to run far either to be a trail runner and to enjoy yourself. You could just run for a half marathon if you want, just 13 miles. And it's just a case of building up really slowly as well, isn't it? Like, you didn't just come in and start running 100 miles, did you? You would have started quite like 5K, 10K.
I couldn't run for a minute. When I started running, I started training with two girls that I lived with at the time, and we decided just to run a 10K, and we went out the first night, and I couldn't run for a minute. I literally had to stop after a minute. But it's amazing how quickly you improve, or how your endurance improves and your overall fitness. So yeah, I think it's just slowly building it up, making sure there's lots of rest in there as well, especially if you're hurting. Recovery days are really important. Making sure you have non-running days as well. So just getting involved. Chrissy TV says, but I want to win. Yeah, the winning might come later. That's fab. I would really like to talk a little bit about the spine race now, because I'll just show a picture of you and your little boy. Let's just get that up here. So this is a shot of Debbie sat down next to the wall after the 2020 spine race, which was this January, and it was grueling, wasn't it? Storm Brendan. And then what really struck me as you came over the finish line, people started to ask you how it went, and you said, I'm really sleep deprived. There was a naked man up there with his head up an arse. And so I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the sleep deprivation. I had 118 hours to think of something inspired to say at the end. That's what I came out with. It's kind of, yeah, I was really on the edge for the last, there's like a 3 mile section which is on the road before the end, and I don't think I've ever been that far gone in my life. It was just, I mean, I've had hallucinations before, but I didn't really have them until maybe like the last night, and it's almost like before dawn. That's when it all gets a bit funky, and because I finished around about 6 o'clock, that was when, yeah, and I started seeing some really crazy things, and it was like a naked man who was bent over, and I was, oh, anyway. So like you can usually see zoo animals, and the trees become something, and you see little faces in the ground. That's pretty common. But the good thing is, like, you know you're hallucinating, you know your mind is playing tricks, so it's not frightening in any way. You know it's just happening, and you know you blink and it's gone. But yeah, I was definitely on the edge, and those 3 miles were, yeah, pretty excruciating. I had, even from like day 2, I think I had really bad problems with my shins. Most people in the race had some kind of shin tendonitis because they were pulling their feet out of mud for so long. So a lot of people dropped out with shin tendonitis, and people that I've spoken to since are still having problems with their shins.
Wow.
So yeah, the last few hours got really, it's just that drive to want it to end. Although I loved it, you know, 3 miles on the road towards the end can, yeah, I just wanted it. And I kept seeing the finishing line, I kept seeing people and lights, and yeah, it just, I was a little bit wasted, and I didn't expect people and cameras to be there when I finished. You know, it was like 6 o'clock in the morning, so I was a bit overwhelmed to like sit down and turn around, and all of a sudden I had like all these cameras in my face. So
yeah,
but I was still in good spirits like the whole way. I was quite happy to be where I was and what I was doing, apart from times where it got really tough. I mean, most of it I really enjoyed. And when you go out there for so long and you don't see people, that when you do see people, you actually just enjoy the banter and a little bit of conversation, because yeah, most of the time you forget you're in a race. You're just out there off your face for days. And I've seen a few of the videos when I finished, and I was just like, oh my God, shut up. What are you saying?
And there's like 20 people with cameras.
But I open my mouth and stuff just comes out. No filter.
I thought it was brilliant. You made everybody laugh, and they'd all got up really early to see you come in. So I think, yeah, you gave them all a right treat there. But I just wondered, is there anything that you can do to help with sleep deprivation? Because obviously you had it on the Tour des Géants. There's maybe a little bit of it at the UTMB when you run through the night and your 24-hour stuff. Is there anything that can prepare you for the spine race type of...
Just sleep, and then you won't get sleep deprivation. I don't know. I don't know what strategy I would do next time, because there is people who like sleep for 4 or 5 hours and then they get up, and because they feel so refreshed, they're obviously then covering terrain faster rather than just moping about with poles. In Tour de Géant, I probably slept around about 7-8 hours in both races. But that's like lying down, not actually sleeping. So it takes you so long to get to sleep, and then you wake up like every 5 minutes, so you don't actually get a good sleep. And Tour de Géant, I spent so much time just sitting at tables, packing and unpacking my bag, and just wasting time where I could have slept. But just because I didn't really have a clue what I was doing, to be honest, and I didn't have someone there telling me, right, you've been sitting there for 2 hours, can you just get out? Whereas the spine, I went without quite a lot of sleep, because just the way that my race was going, that I was going into checkpoints and it was in daylight, and daylight on the spine race is very precious, so you don't want to waste 2 hours going to sleep when you've only got 8 hours of daylight. So yeah, it's called, you got to make hay while the sun shines, and it's not like you can sleep out. I did actually sleep out a couple of times on the spine. Just getting a 15-minute sleep, which is in hindsight ridiculous because it's the middle of winter. But yeah, I didn't really. I wanted to sleep more, and I would have if I had gone into the checkpoints at night. But because I went in the daylight, I just wanted to make use of the daylight hours, because I mean the Pennine Way is not the easiest trail to navigate. There's no rhyme or reason to it. So if you're stuck in a bog in a field in the middle of the night and you come off it, it takes you so long to get back on it. It's because there's just, in daylight it's easier because you might be able to see the faint path. So yeah, daylight and navigating on the Pennine Way are just very precious. So yeah, I probably would have slept more, but
yeah,
just worked.
Yeah, well, congratulations for coming second lady on that one, and for amusing everybody at the finish line. It's the best quote. I've actually led with it in the YouTube description. I'll probably lead with it in the podcast description as well because it's so good. And then we've just got a few minutes left, but I just wanted to ask you Catherine's question here on recovery, because especially like races like the Spine, but also she wants to know after your 12-hour, 24-hour races, how do you recover immediately after the race? Because she says she struggled to get going again for over a month because she had cold after doing her first 12-hour event last year. So yeah, your thoughts on recovery after events would be great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any magic lotions and potions. I just eat well, sleep well, drink well. Yeah, I treat myself to foods that I probably normally wouldn't. I take rest. There's no set time. It's just when I feel like I want to go out. But, you know, for the Spine, I think I was off for a couple of weeks at least. I can't even remember now. But that's because I picked up an injury. But even if I wasn't injured, I recover okay, but I get like the worst DOMs like for a couple of days after it, whereas some people can spend like 3 or 4 weeks feeling rubbish. I seem to get it for like 24 hours full on. So yeah, it really depends on how I am after the race. I mean, the Spine, yeah, it took me a long time just to physically feel okay. It was like a good month before I caught up in sleep, and I was tired all the time and hungry. Like, I don't think I've ever been so thin in my life. Like, my weight just completely plummeted afterwards, and I couldn't stop eating, and then I couldn't really sleep because I kept waking up thinking I was in the race and had to keep going. So it's quite traumatizing to wake up thinking that you're in a bog somewhere. But yeah, it really depends. I've always got another race to focus on, or another something to focus on, so that keeps me motivated. But I do like to take time off. I think you deserve to have some time off. So if it takes you a month, then a month is fine. But you know, you need to come back slowly. Like, I wouldn't come back and do, you know, straight out and do a 5-mile run or something. I would go out and do maybe a couple of minutes running, a couple of minutes walking, and just ease myself in and just test how things are. But yeah, in terms of motivation, I think you just need something else, like another race or another goal, to get you back going again.
Yeah, that's good advice. That's really good advice. And just time for a couple more questions if we've got time just before we go. We've got Mick Sewville. He says, what was Debbie's most challenging race to date, and why was this the case? Was it maybe the duration, the terrain, your state of fitness and mental state? Would you have done anything differently? It's quite a long question.
Park run is the hardest race of them all.
Oh, sorry, say that again. Sorry, I didn't.
Park run.
Park run. Oh, wow.
What was my hardest race? I think they're all quite difficult. I've had some absolute stinkers. Marathons is my nemesis. I finally got one right last year. Maybe the track race last year, because it was only like a few people. It was like an elite entry race, and I felt completely out of my depth, and it ended up like I was the only woman left. And I felt like I was in a bit of a goldfish bowl because everyone could see what was going on and how I was going into these the depths. So I was really glad to finish it. But yeah, I found that mentally really tough. I felt like the trauma of all the 24-hour races just completely hit me like a ton of bricks when I was about 30 miles into it, and I really had to work mentally to keep going, because at 50 miles I was in the ladies' toilets with Sharon wailing that my head was done in and I just couldn't go on. I just physically couldn't, and she was like, well, just do another lap and you'll be fine. And then I got some music and I listened to some Taylor Swift and got in my groove. And yeah, I think that, yeah, there was bits of it that were really good, but there was a lot of bits where, yeah, it was just, I mean, 100 miles on a track is just not normal for starters, but 100 miles on a track at pace is, yeah, so that was a tough race. It was tough. It was tougher than I'd trained for, because I felt like I was in really good shape. Yeah, I just, I think it was mentally, I struggled mentally in that race, more than physically, because physically I felt fine. It was just, so that was a tough one.
It sounds tough. Any race around the track sounds tough to me, but doing 100k around the track, or 100 miles, or 24 hours, or any kind of distance on a track just sounds like a nightmare, doesn't it?
It takes a special breed of maniac, that's for sure.
Oh, and so just finally, just to sum up, and everyone is saying thanks so much, because they really feel like you've answered their questions so well tonight. There's just one final question about what you're up to next, really. I know right now not up to much, but do you have any kind of dream races, bucket list races? Will you ever come to the US to do any races? Arlene wants to know, she's from the US. Any other countries?
I keep trying to get in the Western States, and they keep saying no.
How rude.
I know. I think I've been 5 times now, maybe, that I've entered. I'll keep trying until they give me a place. I'd love to do Badwater. No idea why, because I definitely don't belong out there in the heat. Yeah, it's just one of those races. Yeah, so Western States and Badwater are definitely right up there on my bucket list.
Both pretty hot as well.
Yeah. And I nearly died. It was 14 degrees today.
Oh, it's so hot, isn't it, right now for us fair-skinned people?
Temperatures have soared to 15 degrees today.
Yeah, we're walking around in your bikini.
Exactly.
Fantastic. So lots of races ahead. Did you have any planned for 2020 that have been cancelled, did you say?
I was going to do the Arran Sky Race, which I did last summer, and Lakeland 100. I wanted to do that again. Like, I always go and help out at the race, and I have done since ever I started running it. So the last few years I've been volunteering. Every year I go, oh, I really want to do this one again. So I was going to do Lakeland 100, which was going to be my Western States qualified as well. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm quite lucky because I run for the Centurion team, so I can get a little side door into some of those races. But yeah, I mean, I've done most of them. So there was one, the Wendover Woods 50, has kind of appealed to me. But yeah, I've got nothing. I don't want to enter anything. I don't want to commit to anything until we know. You can't even book a weekend away. So it's kind of, I'm quite happy just doing my thing just now. It's this, maybe my drive to train specifically for something is not there. But yeah, I'm just enjoying running. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. It's kind of like an enforced rest period on us all, isn't it? It's quite kind of refreshing if you can, look at it from a different angle.
Yeah, I mean, work is just crazy, and this is my loft office space, which I leave here on a Friday night and go and sit in the living room for the weekend. But I don't think I've ever felt so content, and it's just because, like, my kid's got a club every night of the week, and he's got activities all weekend, and I feel like I just run 100 miles an hour from here to there, getting out of working time so I can get to go and take him to such and such. And it's actually quite nice not having to be anywhere at a specific time and on a strict schedule. So I'm kind of enjoying that. I think I might hit the wall sometime next month, but it's fine for now.
Yeah, it's fine for now. It is a nice rest, isn't it? And I want to say a massive thank you from everybody for such a great chat tonight. I just want to read you out some of the nice comments just so that you get a bit of a feel for who was watching. We had a lot of people watching. The high point was 45 people live, and it will be a lot more later on as this goes onto podcast tomorrow, and it just gets put onto the YouTube channel. So Catherine Dolliver says thank you, Debbie, for answering my question. Arlene M says also thank you. Amanda Armstrong says excellent, thank you, Debbie and Claire. Guy Greatrix says Badwater, great race. Catherine says Aaron, that's an idea for next year. Seb said he'd do Western States in a heartbeat. He totally agrees with you. Abby says great interview, Claire and Debbie, loved hearing all about your exploits, Debbie. Arlene M says the JFK 50 still has openings this November if you want to go do that.
There you go.
And Philip Haddock says hope to see you next year on the Lakeland, and thanks for a great interview. Amanda says nothing wrong with just enjoying running. Seb says great episode, thank you so much, Claire and Debbie. John says thanks very much, really interesting. Chrissy TV, thanks as well. Nigel Barnett, great interview, loving Debbie's down-to-earth answers. Brilliant. And John Gardner says much respect for Debbie, very interesting guest. And Guy Greater says great interview, inspirational. So everybody has really enjoyed watching it, and I just want to say a massive thank you to you for coming on and spending so much time with us here tonight. I'm sure there's so many bits of advice there about how you can be successful in ultra running from your experience, and I hope people have taken a lot from listening to you.
Thank you very much.
That's great. So we'll say good night to everybody, and we'll see you next week for Marcus Scotney, who's also in the Montane team.
You can't have enough gingers, can you?
Exactly. It's going to be full on ginger next week. Cool. So thank you very much, Debbie, and good night.
Thanks. Bye.